On this episode of Home Theater Geeks, I talk about how physical media might not quite be dead yet. So stay tuned.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Hey there, Scott Wilkinson here, the Home Theater Geek. In this episode, I want to talk about a series of articles I recently came across on The Verge, which is a really great source of all sorts of technical information. But this series of articles was gathered together under the headline Physical Media Week. And they had a series of articles here that talked about all kinds of different aspects of physical media and why it might be experiencing a resurgence. In particular, I was most interested in the one called The Case for 4K Blu-ray in a World of Streaming by John Porter. Here's the, we'll put the URL in the show notes for that as well. Now, with the exception of vinyl records, which have never gone away and in fact are still gaining in popularity these days, physical media generally has appeared to be dying in the face of streaming. Netflix recently stopped sending physical discs by rental. Best Buy announced it will no longer sell discs. And according to a 2021 report from the Motion Picture Association, global physical media sales fell from 14.9 billion to 6.5 billion from 2017 to 2021. So this article was very heartening to me because I'm a big physical media fan myself, especially 4K UHD Blu-ray. And it could be making a comeback, according to this article. Christopher Nolan recently talked about doing Oppenheimer on UHD Blu-ray, and it's sold out in a few weeks. James Cameron is releasing movies like Titanic, Aliens, and The Abyss on UHD Blu-ray. And last year, Disney released Cinderella and Snow White on UHD Blu-ray with all sorts of restoration and enhancement from the film originals in most of those cases. So the main benefits of UHD Blu-ray are AV quality and ownership. Nolan said he takes particular care with his UHD Blu-ray releases. Streaming is getting better in terms of quality, better compression, higher bandwidth to the home, but UHD Blu-ray still surpasses that quality. Because it has massive storage and higher bit rates for the most part. For example, Game of Thrones Season 8, Episode 3, called The Long Night. The original broadcast was so dark that many viewers complained that they couldn't see any shadow detail, and they actually saw artifacts in there with such a dark scene that they couldn't see anything, and they complained bitterly about it. Well, if you watch the Ultra HD Blu-ray of that same episode, you can see all of that detail. I've read a number of comments that's from people who said, oh, that's what it was supposed to look like. So there's a big advantage right there. Audio quality, for example, is also definitely better, especially in terms of dynamic range. Now, you might not hear much difference in your TV speakers, but if you have a good sound bar or a multi-speaker system, you're going to hear a good significant difference there. Then there's the issue of ownership. Streaming services add and delete titles all the time, and this really frustrates me because they have these licensing deals that have limited time on them. You know, even titles you're supposed to own, that you bought and own in the cloud, are vulnerable. Sony recently threatened to pull its Discovery content that consumers bought through the PlayStation Store. They didn't actually go through with it, I'm hoping because consumers and owners raised a stink about it. So it didn't happen yet. But, you know, it's guaranteed. If you have a UHD Blu-ray disc, you know you have it. You know you can watch it anytime. No one's going to take it away from you. And UHD Blu-ray is probably the last physical media format for video. I don't expect anyone's going to develop an 8K Blu-ray. I just don't. There isn't enough money in it, for one thing. And 8K TVs, yeah, they're becoming more common, but they're still expensive. Probably will be for a while. I just don't think it's going to happen. So owning a UHD Blu-ray is going to be the ultimate source material for consumers for a long time to come. Especially things like collector's editions. According to a market research firm, Circana, I'm going to say that's how it's pronounced, I'm not 100% sure. The market for collector's editions of UHD Blu-rays rose 85% to $80 billion in the 12 months ending in March of 2023. So that's going to continue to rise, I think. And I'm going to continue to advocate for UHD Blu-ray if you want the best possible quality. And we here on Home Theater Geeks want the best possible quality. Now, how do you play them? Well, if you have a game console like PlayStation 5 or Xbox X, you already have a UHD Blu-ray player built in. But they might not support things like Dolby Vision. They might be a bit slow. You probably have to control them with the game controller unless you buy an extra remote, which some of them may have. So I recommend getting a standalone player, really. It's not tremendously expensive. It's not super cheap, but it's not going to break the bank for the most part. And standalone players usually have a better user interface as well. And they come with a nice TV-like remote. So I've got a couple of recommendations for you for players. My best recommendation is the Panasonic DP UB820. Lists for, it's on Amazon here for $440. Panasonic makes lower cost models, but they don't support Dolby Vision. And that to me is an important factor because a lot of UHD Blu-ray titles are in Dolby Vision high dynamic range. So I would recommend spending the money. You don't have to spend that much though. Sony has two models that do support Dolby Vision. One is the UBP X800M2, which is close to $250. So that's quite a bit better than the Panasonic. That's on Amazon. And they also make a step down model, possibly the year before. I don't quite know, called the Sony UBP X700M. Now on Amazon, I found it for $190, that's a pretty good deal. But there are other listings on Amazon where it's closer to $250. So I don't quite know what's going on there. This is a new model, a new device. It's not a used product as far as I can tell. And it does support Dolby Vision. So I would say that's your least expensive option of what I would recommend. So there are a ton of a ton of discs out there that are of high quality. And there are so many that I can't really even name them, but I'm going to name a few for you because some of these are ones I've seen and use as demo discs. I mean, if you're a home theater geek, you like to show off your home theater, and these discs will show it off in the best possible light. Right. So I mentioned Oppenheimer before. Chris Nolan took a lot of care in making Oppenheimer for Ultra HD Blu-ray. And it's an amazing movie and it really looks great. And And it just won some awards, including Best Picture of the Year at the Oscars. So that's one to have in your collection for sure. Dune Part 1 is also highly rated. I haven't seen that one on Ultra HD Blu-ray, but I did just see Part 2 in the theaters, and I did a couple episodes ago about it, so you might want to check that out. I did see Dunkirk in IMAX, and that has now come out in Ultra HD Blu-ray, and I'm sure it looks fantastic. Another war movie, 1917. I haven't seen that one, but it is very highly recommended in Ultra HD Blu-ray. Another one I have seen is Interstellar, which looks fantastic on UHD Blu-ray. I highly recommend that. As I do Gravity, the Sandra Bullock, George Clooney featured movie, which has an amazing Atmos soundtrack. So if you have an Atmos sound system, that is definitely a demo disc for you. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse is getting a lot of great press. A lot of people like that Ultra HD Blu-ray. As well as Avatar and its sequel, Avatar: The Way of Water, which I didn't see the second one, but I'm told that the Ultra HD Blu-ray looks really great. Black Panther I have seen on HD Blu-ray, and that is also a demo disc. No question about it. A lot of dark scenes and with a lot of shadow detail. Really, really good. And also any BBC nature documentary, Planet Earth, Blue Planet, all of those are just fantastic on Ultra HD Blu-ray. I have a lot of them as demo discs. There are also some really old titles, relatively old, some really old, that benefit from UHD Blu-ray restoration, including Titanic, which is from the 90s. We have Blade Runner and Blade Runner 2049, and those are both excellent UHD Blu-rays. I was in a home theater, somebody's home theater, and they played a bit of Blade Runner 2049, and that is a subwoofer workout. So highly recommended for that. 2001, A Space Odyssey. Great movie, and looks great on Ultra HD Blu-ray. I'm not a fan of the Alien movies, but I know a lot of people are, so that's another one worth getting. And probably the oldest one in my informal list here is Lawrence of Arabia on Ultra HD Blu-ray. They did a lot of restoration on that. It just looks amazing. Really fantastic. So there you have it. Some recommendations for players, titles, and hope that the physical media is not going to die altogether. Ultra HD Blu-ray is the best you can get. And if you're a home theater geek, you want the best you can get. And that's the way to do it. Now, here at Home Theater Geeks, I love getting listener questions. So if you have any you want to send me, please do to htg@twit.tv. And we will answer as many as we can. You can send a text file or an audio file or a video file, being that we are audiophiles and videophiles. Any way you like to do it, and we will play the audio and video on the show if you send that to us. And as always, we thank you for your support of the TWiT network with your membership in Club TWiT. If you're listening to the audio here, you might want to consider joining, because you get the benefit of seeing the graphics that I bring to the show. And also you can come into the Discord channel and watch us make the show live and interact with your fellow geeks. So I do hope you will consider that, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Until then, geek out.